Hello, everybody, and welcome to my live. It's Sunday, so happy Sunday. We're doing a live a little early this week. It all depends. So, I want to let you know what we're going to talk about today. And then, of course, after, I'll be happy to take your questions. So, we're going to be talking today about the Multinational Manager Visa, the EB1 visa, okay? Except in this particular regard, it's subcategorized. Oh, do you see my thumb? Got a little injury, but I was cutting myself. But it's okay. Thanks. So the EB1C is for what's called multinational manager visas, okay? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to give some specifics on it and what needs to be done and why the EB1C is a great way to go. And then I'll answer your questions. So if you're joining and you have completely unrelated questions, DACA, removal proceedings, crimes and how they affect your immigration status, naturalization, whatever, go ahead and ask me. And what I'll do is I will scroll back once I'm done with my live presentation, and then, of course, I'll answer all of your questions, okay? Assuming they're immigration related. So let's start. So this is the deal. There's lots of different ways of getting the green card. And, of course, you basically divide it into two general areas, although there's more, but essentially family or employment. Okay, let's just assume it's the basic area like that. And with employment, there's several different categories of employment-based visas. Okay, and that depends on your education, your experience, your all kinds of different things. But they have what's called the EB1 visa. That's the cream of the crop. Okay, that's the Park Place on the Monopoly board. Okay, that is the vacation of vacations. The EB1 is where everybody would want to go if they could. Okay. Now, given that I said that, there's very few people, percentage-wise, that qualify for the EB1. Okay. But if you do, that's the way to go. Now, when you get to the EB1, and just so you know, E, employment, B, based, 1, first preference, top, okay, EB1. So EB1 has a few different categories, and actually 3 different categories. And I'll just tell you, EB1A, extraordinary ability aliens, EB1B, outstanding professors and researchers, and the topic of today, EB1C, multinational managers. Okay? So you're asking yourself, what the heck is a multinational manager and how can I qualify? Okay? And then I'll tell you what, a lot of people who have the money to start their own businesses in the U.S. and want to get the green card, the first thing they jump to, the first thing they think of is the EB5. So they'll come to you, they'll go, okay, I'm able to scratch together $1.2 million. I know it's going to take a lot of years for everything to go through. And depending where you are, I know there's a backlog. And I know that when the green card comes, it's conditional. And I know we have to file a petition to remove the conditional residency. And we have to show 100,000 other things. But I'm ready to rock and roll and go forward with it. Okay? To those people, I say, and hopefully this doesn't disturb you. To those people, I say, instead of the EB5, if you have the money to do an EB5, chances are you meet the qualifications for an EB1C. Okay? So let me tell you just briefly what the requirements are for an EB1C, just so you see. Okay, first of all, it says multinational manager. What does that mean? It means exactly what it says. You are a manager or executive in more than one country. Okay, of course, one of them being the US, and the other being most likely where you're from or where you happen to be having your business. Okay? That's the bottom line. Now, given I said that, because you're probably thinking, well, if that's all it is, I can get it tomorrow. Well, there's lots of different ins and outs and caveats and ways you have to prepare and all this and that. But when you break it all down, that's what it comes down to. That you're managing or you're the executive of a company overseas, and then you want to either purchase or you want to buy a sister corporation or a subsidiary over here, and you want to manage it too. That's it. So why does the U.S. give such priority to such people? Okay, well, the initial bottom line is money. Okay, if somebody has a business overseas and they're going to start a business here in the U.S., they're going to have money, they're going to buy a lot of product, they're going to put money in the economy, they're going to most likely hire people. So the U.S. likes them, okay? And with the EB1C, as far as I know, there's never been a visa backlog on the EB1C, not once ever. If we were talking the EB5, remember how hard I told you that is to get? $1.2 million and all these other requirements? If you happen to be from a few different countries on earth who happen to have the most popular applications for EB5s, China, India, things like that, you're going to be backlogged for years. Can you even believe it? That you're going to give a country and invest over $1 million, and they're going to tell you, great, we'll adjudicate it, but nothing's happening for a few years until the visa number becomes current. So given that, why would you not do the EB1C? Now let's just look at the money, the investment. There's no minimum or maximum required for an EB1C. They don't look at $1 million. They don't look at 800,000. They look at what's normal for the industry. Okay. Now, and also, just so you know, the investment part of it is much lower on the importance scale on an EB1C than for an EB5. Okay? So if you happen to have your company overseas and you're going to, buy a company or purchase a branch office here for $25,000, $50,000, whatever, I'm not saying that that's a guarantee shoo-in, but I've done EB1Cs where the investment's relatively low like that. I mean, and when I say relatively, compared to an EB5, it's way low. Okay? Now, that, of course, is the second thing that you're looking at that makes the EB1C much more attractive. So what's the third thing? Well, if you get the EB1C approved, what does that mean? That means you're getting the green card. And that means you can apply for derivative or dependent green cards for your spouse and unmarried children under 21. It's not dependent on being conditional or waiting 2 years because you get the EB5. That means if you get it, even when you get it all the way down the line, it's a conditional green card, which means 2 years after that, they want you to prove that you did everything you're supposed to and that you qualify for the EB5. Okay? So that's how that works. So the EB1C is a very nice visa, and it has dual intent too. I mean, you could be here on whatever type of non-immigrant visa and still apply for the EB1C, assuming there's dual intent, and you'll be able to still get the green card, okay? So I'm trying to stress that the EB1C is not known to a lot of people. But for those who know about it, know how to do it, it is so much more preferred than the EB5 or many other types. Even if you do a regular perm, that's going to take years. You have to process it, then you have to do the I-140, and then that has to become current. Then you do the 45 or the consulate processing. I mean, I just ran out of breath. I was saying what you had to do. Okay, so that's that. So hopefully, I've imparted on you the benefits of doing an EB1C. Okay? All right. I have lots of other videos on different parts of the EB1C, but that's the gist of it, what I just gave you. Okay? All right. Let's go back. How is everybody today? Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit shorter of a live today, but let me just get what questions I can, assuming we have any, and then I'll answer them as soon as I paste it. Let's see. Do I need a cremation lawyer for an INA 213 A3B denial? What should I do? Well, first of all, I have a lot of stuff memorized in my head, believe me. But this doesn't ring a bell. 213 A3B. I'm a little unclear what section you're referring to. So the fact that you're asking if you need a cremation lawyer, which means that you need someone like myself that does and is an expert in immigration law, but has a significant overlap with criminal law and how that affects the immigration law. Hence, cremation, criminal immigration. You like how we merge those words? So that depends. Okay, that depends. First of all, I need to confirm what exactly that section is. But if you have a crime that makes you inadmissible, the reason you would need a cremation lawyer is if no waivers are available. So let's say you have a theft crime of a year that makes you an aggravated felon, no waivers. So you're not going to be able to go just through the immigration process. You're going to have to go back to the criminal process in order to proceed forward and hopefully get that approved so you can go forward with the immigration. Okay, or you happen to not currently have any immigration removal issues, but you committed some crime, you're in a criminal court, and the prosecutor has said, well, we'll do this type of deal, whatever. You cannot plead to a deal, no matter how good your criminal attorney says it is, until you get advice from an immigration attorney. Okay, because ultimately, when you finish your sentence and do your stuff with the criminal side of it, you will be sent to immigration, and that will be the final say. So you have to do things that will benefit you under the immigration, more so even than the criminal. Okay? So that's that. Okay, case was issued, revoked, and then refused. Well, I need more information. Okay? First of all, if it was revoked, then it doesn't mean it was refused. I mean, if it was revoked, that means you had something, and then for some reason they said you shouldn't have received it, and they take it away. So it's not a matter of refusing it. They already took it away. And when you say case was issued, what was issued? Okay, what was issued? Why was it revoked? Okay, I need to have that information to help you. Okay, let's see. What if someone has a denied marriage case? Can that person go with an EB visa? I mean, the answer is yes, if you don't have a denial because of marriage fraud. Okay, and that's by a certain entity. If the certain legal entity has claimed you committed marriage fraud, then you're barred from immigration benefits for life. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do an EB case and argue when it comes time for adjustment why you didn't commit marriage fraud and why that issue is wrong. Okay, it's still possible to argue that and still have it go through. So it's doable, but I can't say yes or no without having more facts. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community experience. Well, I don't know what some of you wrote, but it's not here. Is there such a thing as a civics test waiver for over 55 years old, a green card holder for over 23 years? Okay. I think what you're referring to is the naturalization examination, okay? And you want to know if you're over 55 do you get a waiver for the civics test? And the answer is no. There's not a waiver for that. There's an English waiver. Okay, so if you happen to not be fluent in English, you've met the requirements, you're over 55 years old, then you can get a waiver of the English requirement and take the civics test in uh, your native language. Now, if all you're talking about is the civics tests and you want to get a waiver of that, there has to be some mental issue or issue as to why you can't learn it or so forth. You know, how you got the green card but you can't possibly learn it. That's a medical waiver. That's a whole different thing. I strongly suspect instead of the civics test, you're talking about the English test, or the civics test in English, because you say over 55 with a green card holder of 23 years. So you've done your homework. You know if you're over 55, you have the green card for 20 years, you can apply for a waiver of the English requirement. Okay? All right, let's see what we got. Can someone eligible for a T visa if employer doesn't give the SSN tax in W-2 on work visa? Okay, first of all, you have to understand what the T visa is. T visa, if you're talking about in the employment sense here, that is being trafficked in work. The question is, are you being trafficked in work? And it is the whole plan that the employer is doing because they're not giving you SSN tax. And that by itself says to me, no. Okay, I need way more information. Okay, so I need to see if conduct is going on with the employer, and if it's going on to a sufficient degree to allow you to apply for the T visa. Because if so, it's a great visa. Okay, it doesn't have a 10-year backlog like the U. Okay, I think you're this same person. Can someone eligible for a T visa if employer does? Oh, you wrote the same question again. Okay, well I just answered you. All right. Just a second. Oh, it just scrolled all the way down to the bottom. Just a minute. I have to scroll back up again. Okay, here we go. Is it better to do a spousal or a K1? I'm leaning towards spousal because of the cost. Well, it all depends. Okay, I mean, if you're talking about attorney's fees, there's the attorney's fees for the K1, and then there's attorney's fees for the adjustment of status. Okay, versus the attorney's fees for just the consulate processing. So yes, it is a bit more to do the K1 because you're doing two completely separate petitions, but of course the person gets here sooner. So it all depends. Okay, it depends what you want. But what will get it to go through sooner is doing it right. I have a lot of people say, can I expedite the spouse petition? The answer is no, but then they don't do 12 different things. It gets returned. They have to resubmit. They've just wasted a year. So if you do it right, that's what makes it go faster. Okay? How long for asylum interview right now? Well, it's last in, first out, which means that if you just filed it yesterday, you're going to get there sooner than if you filed it 2 months ago. That's how it is. Okay, so people longer than that have kept getting pushed back and back and back. Okay. Trump never took a civic class in Colorado. Well, I don't know if you're making a joke. I mean, he's a U.S. citizen, doesn't need to take a civics class. But whatever. Are all TPS going away? My country's still in civil war. I don't even have a passport to travel anywhere. I can't tell you if TPS, temporary protected status, is going away. We're still in civil war. I don't even have a passport to travel anywhere. I can't tell you if TPS, temporary protected status, is going away. So to apply for legal status somehow. Okay, you may not have any idea which is why you get a consult from me to see if the wheels can start rolling on something to get it, because TPS is just temporary, hence the first name, temporary protected status. Don't think it's going to keep lasting, and when someone like Trump comes in office, it's going to be even more temporary. Why, with everything he said he's going to do, why would he extend TPS? Why would he not just end them all right when he starts? Because that's what he wants to do. Okay. So now's the time more than anything to try to get legal status some other manner. Even if you do have to leave, you could at least get it started and rolling here before you go. Okay? Alrighty. Well, I've answered all the questions. I've done my EB1C intro. It's a Sunday, so gonna relax. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend. Thanks. Goodbye.